exact same day since I bought the Corellos because I kind of just want to talk about my opinions, and I wanted to train this horse, so I was just like, this is a perfect opportunity to do like a little bit of a train with me and talk about a few things that are very irrelevant. I think what I really like about this new update with the whole like camera thing, well, like the settings and everything like that, is that you get to keep what the settings look like once you log out of that session or whatever. I really like that. I didn't really talk about that the first time around because I didn't really think too much of it. But now that I see it in action, the only thing that does change back to or revert back to itself is the time of day. But that's honestly not too bad. Like, I really just like how everything stays the same. So I like that little bit of an update. But I kind of wanted to talk about my feelings about the Corellos. I still haven't gotten this horse to like level 7 yet. So hopefully I can get this horse to level 7 so I can show you guys a special move. But it's not going to be anything too serious because everybody's already seen the special move. Like, you can even see it in the buy screen. So honestly, it doesn't matter if you see it or not. But I kind of just wanted to see it for myself on my own horse because I didn't even check out the special move in the buy screen either. So I wanted to kind of discuss my opinions for riding this horse for a little bit. I feel like from the back angle, like a lot of people have been complaining about it. Well, not even complaining about it. Like, a lot of people were saying how they really like the coats and how it looks very long. And I've said that before. Like, it definitely reminds me of the Frisians and their long back. But I think the Frisians are able to get away with it a little bit more because you really can't notice it too much. Like, I feel like I noticed it right away, but I think because it's a bigger breed than the Corellos, it looks normal, and it probably is normal for the breed, and that's probably why, you know, nobody said anything about it. But with the Corellos, everybody kept saying how long it is and has a long back and everything, and I definitely agree. Like, I've already said that. Like, look at how our character is saying, like, all this stuff is here, but the horse, everything else is like, you got more space here, and that's usually not the case. And I mean, I'm not hating on it, I'm just saying that's something that I noticed about this breed. Another thing I like from like specifically the back angle is kind of how there is a lot more movement for me. It reminds me of the Selle Française, but not too much, because the Selle Française, if you ride the Selle Française, you can tell with that breed from the back angle, they definitely have a lot more movement compared to this horse. And considering that I'm looking at this horse from the back anyway, I promise guys, it's always when I'm trying to record that OBS wants to be extra special and make things extra harder for me, which I guess is kind of a normal thing, but it gets kind of annoying when I'm trying to record. But anyway, as I was saying until I was really interrupted, I was just saying how what the flip? What is going on? Wait, I did not see that there. I'm so serious. Oh my gosh. Okay. I did not know I missed that checkpoint. I was like, what is going on? But as I was saying is with the Corellos, yes, they have movement in the back, but obviously not as much as the Selle Française. Like, I like the Selle Française because of the movement in the back, and considering I'm riding the horse from the back anyway, if that makes sense, like, I'm looking at the horse from the back when I'm riding it and not from the side. I prefer a little bit more movement, but that's just me. But this one, it looks kind of stiff with it, but again, I'm too busy focusing on the next checkpoint that I'm not too focused on like the butt. But like, you can see it kind of rotates a little bit, but I'm done talking about that right now. This time I feel like this part is gonna be a little bit like very like opinionated, and it's gonna probably come off as mean, but I promise it's not. Like, I feel like I'm not gonna be alone on this one, but some people may have different opinions about this, so let me know down below if you agree with it or not. But I feel like when you have a specific idol or someone that you admire, obviously, whether it's in real life or in the game or something like that, and you meet that so-called idol in the game or in real life, like a meet and greet or something like that, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, wanting to meet your favorite idol and getting to see them and things like that, like wanting pictures, giving them gifts, things like that. Those are completely normal for someone who's pretty famous, pretty well known, pretty popular within their community or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to meet them in real life or meeting them in the game or both. But I feel like what really makes me personally angry is when the person is following you around even after they got to meet you and everything like that. They're still following you around. Like, I know that they're like your idol and everything like that, and they just wanted to get to know you and get closer to you. And I feel like there's nothing wrong with that. I just feel like what gets to me the most and what I find a problem is when that person becomes like a follower, in a sense where they're just literally following that person around. Like after they've met the person and seen them and all this extra stuff, they just continue to follow them around. And it's kind of just like, that person is human too. Like I can't speak for everyone, but I personally don't like it when a person's like following me around, even if they have good intentions, you know, like their intentions aren't bad or anything like that. They just want to meet their idol or whatever. And that's why I say there's nothing wrong with that. But it gets to a point where now you kind of need to give me a little bit of space. And I know a lot of people feel that way, where they just don't like to be followed, or they're just hanging out with their friends or their family or something like that. And I'm just talking about whether it's in game or in real life. Like not a lot of people like to be followed, even with good intentions. I personally don't like being followed in the game. Like I don't mind meeting people in game, and I don't mind saying hi and seeing them and stuff like that. There's not an issue. It's just when it comes to, okay, now can you give me a little bit of space, you know? And I feel like I'm a very like antisocial person in real life, but on the game I'm like a completely different person. So I may act very like shy in real life, but on the game I probably would act like a little bit more bolder, because it's the game. Like you don't really know who I am in real life. And that's kind of my fear with, you know, being well known within the community, because then people are going to want to start coming up to you and saying hi, which again, not a problem, but then it's kind of like, where's my personal space? Like where is the boundaries? Like I draw the line of when people like start following me around. Like it's kind of just like, okay, I've met you, I've seen who you are, like I've said hi, I've taken pictures, now I kind of want to be left alone, or I want a little bit of space. Like could you give me a little bit of a breather or something like that? And especially it gets worse in real life, because again, I am a pretty shy person in real life when I'm like trying to meet someone. And I just feel like I get real like claustrophobic when there's a lot of people crowding me at once. But again, some people like that. Some people encourage that, and that's fine for them. It's just for me personally, I don't like being crowded. And even if it is for good intentions and everything, I just need space, because everybody's a human. Just because they're famous and they're well known and all this extra stuff doesn't mean you treat them any different from a human. Like everybody's humans, everybody has feelings and opinions, and if the person says they don't like to be crowded, that's something that you kind of have to respect. Okay, so I finally reached level 7, so this is gonna be kind of like a side note, because I just want to see what this I just want to see what this looks like. I already know what it looks like, but I really do. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. Okay, obviously they do it twice. I just cut off in the middle of it, but it goes around once and then it goes back around the second time. That's actually really cute. Like, and there's also another one, but I don't feel like reviewing that right now. I feel like the co-colors really did their big one for me. I just don't see myself getting all of them now. Like, I feel like with this horse breed specifically, considering we really didn't have any spoiler pictures or videos until like the due date of them being released, it was kind of like hard to figure out like what horses I wanted to get. It was hard to like plan ahead of time of what horses that I wanted to get and what horses that I was just like, I'm not sure about. So I'm like, okay, I have to wait and see them until they're released in the game before saying anything about them. And let me just say, like, I still do like all of the coats. Jeez, I still do like all of the coats, but I don't think I'm gonna get all of them, because there's some coats I'm just like meh, and then there's some coats where I'm just like, oh my gosh, like that black and white one, the one that looks like a cow, or the one that I referenced to the American Paint Horse. I really like that one, even though I'm not a fan of like the brown eyes or the orange eyes, if you will. They're not bad. Okay, don't you guys just hate, or not even hate, but more so, don't you just dislike that one person in a horror movie who in a crucial moment is like tripping and falling and slipping in the most important time they should be running? Like, I was just watching this show, and I just finished it, but I was watching this show on Netflix, and this one girl, like, this is not even like the first time, this is like, she did this like 2 different times already, where she fell or she tripped over absolutely nothing. Like, I don't know what she tripped over, but she tripped and fell over air, and things were like chasing her, like zombies were chasing her and stuff like that, and she continued to lay on the ground and asking for the other person for help. Now, if this was me in this type of situation, I would have been like, unless you're holding my hand at that moment and you fall, I'll try dragging you. Like, the most I'll do is drag you. But if you're not holding my hand at that moment and you're like far behind me and you trip and fall and then you ask me to like be like, hey, could you help me? Could you please help me back up? The way you would have been left behind. Like, I'm so serious. The most I can do is pray for you. I can just sit there and be like, hey, get up. Like, don't just sit there and just get up. But the girl had every right to run away. I was just like, this girl is me, because now you're slowing the rest of us down and I'm gonna need you to get back on your feet. And she just continued to lay there, which I found very irritating. Like, it's not like she was in shock or anything. Like, they've been like running away from these things for like the longest now. It's like the second or third day and she's still like sitting there. Like, it really irritated me, because it's just like, girl, get up. If it was me and it was like vice versa, I would have started crawling immediately. Like, I'll crawl until I can get back up again, but I'm not trying to like hold anybody else down, because they're trying to survive. Like, it's like them like risking their lives for somebody else. Like, how are you going to compensate me for that if I get bitten or something like that? You know, I find that very irritating in like a character. Like, I can understand shock and whatever. Like, we're humans after all. Like, we do get shocked and stuff like that, and so we kind of like freeze in place. Not everybody, but there's definitely a few people who kind of get like surprised and they can't move, and then there's people who genuinely would start moving. So I can't really say for sure what I would do in that situation. I'm just telling you what I think I might do, but honestly, if the situation ever arises, like, it won't, but if that ever happened in real life, I feel like that's something I would gear towards. But I'm not sure, like, my body may react in a totally different way than I ever expected. I didn't really hate her though. Like, I genuinely liked her. Like, she was useful for what she was, but when she kept falling and tripping, I was like, girl,
I don't know, like, your expectancy of life is running real thin. I'm not gonna lie to you.
And then there was another girl in the show that I was watching that she could have helped them. Like, honestly, she would have been sacrificed first, because she was really being a bully. Like, she was complaining, she was yelling at everybody. Like, she was on thin ice, that one. Like, if it was me and her, she would have been sacrificed real quick, because you're not gonna be yelling at me and all this extra stuff just because you can't have your way or whatever, and you're not even doing anything. Like, you're just sitting there complaining. You're not even helping. You're not even actively trying to help. And then she but she turned somebody into one of them. And I was just like, dang, girl, like, now you really would have made me mad with that one. And then she willingly walked off to go sacrifice herself to the zombies or whatever, and I was just like, you know, let her be. She walked on her own free will. She wanted to walk away. And I'm like, hey, if you haven't seen it though, you probably will know it's on Netflix, but if you haven't seen it, viewer discretion advised. But I'm not gonna get too into it. I'm not gonna try to spoil it or anything like that. It's been out for I think it's been out for a year or two already, but I'm not gonna spoil it too much. But yeah, she's not my favorite. I don't really like her. I don't know if it's just me, but does anyone ever have this feeling where like they're walking into a room or they were trying to do something and then they like forget? I feel like this happens to me all the time, even in situations where I literally was just talking about what I was going to do and then I end up forgetting what I was gonna do. I don't even think you call that short-term memory loss or anything. I just feel like I forget my objective before I get to my objective, if that makes sense. And I know that it happens to a lot of different people for a lot of different reasons. Like, at one point I know what I'm talking about and then like I forget completely, you know, like I get sidetracked and I get like how did I pass that? I get very like sidetracked really easily. Like, I lose all interest very easily and I get distracted.
I'm like a dog.
Honestly, that's like a very bad comparison, but a lot of dogs, unless trained well, get very distracted by outside sources a lot easier, especially like baby dogs, like just baby puppies and stuff like that. They get distracted really, really easily. And that's something that happens to me. Like, if I'm talking about something important, right? Something that's really crucial, and I see something more interesting, I kind of gear towards that instead, and then I completely forget what I'm saying. I lose my train of thought and then I have to start all over again, but then I forget what I was talking about. So now I just have to talk about a different topic, and like, that's probably really, really bad, because especially if it's something that I'm trying to tell you or if it's something that's important and I end up forgetting it completely. I don't know, like, that's just a problem with me. Can anyone also recommend me some more if you guys are like an anime like watcher. I don't really talk about this on my channel, but might as well since I'm here. If there's anyone who's like an anime fan or like who likes to watch anime and stuff like that. Oh, is this new? I think this is new. See, this is the type of stuff I'm talking about. Look at the necklace. This is the type of stuff I'm talking about. I'm talking about anime and I get so distracted very, very easily. But like I said, if there's any anime fans out there who recommend some good animes to watch, because there's a couple of animes that I'm kind of waiting until the full season's out, because I actually prefer with anime and with like K-dramas as well. I prefer watching things in like dubbed. I know people say like for K-dramas and C-dramas and A-dramas and things like that, dramas in a different language, it's better to watch that drama in the language that it was originally in, like if it's Korean or Chinese, because they're able to express their emotions more. And to some extent I agree, but I prefer watching it in dubbed as long as I'm getting the same information. I don't really care how I get the information as long as I don't have to do too much to it. Sometimes the only other option is to read the subtitles, which I feel like is very controversial because it really is up to viewers' preference. And I feel like for me personally, I don't like reading. If there's an option to switch it to dub, most likely I'm going to change it to dub. I don't really like reading the subtitles because sometimes I have to multitask by reading the subtitles and also seeing what the character is doing. And sometimes I miss what the character is doing because I'm reading the subtitles. And I don't actually read the whole entire subtitles. Like I kind of scan over it and get the important points, but still, I still miss like important parts in the show. And then I end up having to rewind it. So if I can just hear what they're saying and not actually like read what they're saying, because if I actually wanted to read subtitles, I would have like picked up a book or something like that. Like I really do prefer watching things in dubbed if there is a dubbed option. Now sometimes, like I said, there's not a dubbed option. You do have to watch it in subtitles. It's just, you know, I think there's one called like Hidden Love, which I'm pretty sure you have to watch in subbed. But like I said, really it's up to viewers' preference. Some people get really upset when people watch things in dubbed when it's supposed to be watched in whatever language it originated in. Like, it's not that deep. It's not that serious. Some people even watch it again in the language that it was intended for. And that's okay. Like, hey, double watch, if you will. I don't always feel like reading the subtitles, but that's just completely me. And some people are going to hate that. Some people are going to be upset about that. But honestly, I don't really care. Like, you watch it how you want to watch it, and I'll watch it how I want to watch it. As long as I'm getting the exact same information as you, who cares? Yes, it may be a little worded differently, and maybe you won't understand important key points, but for the most part, it's translated in a way where it's very similar to the sub version. But yeah, let me know and recommend some K-dramas, animes, and things like that that you recommend me to watch. Like, I have been saving up a list of animes and K-dramas that I need to finish watching that I haven't finished, and I'm trying to finish. But like, like I said, like my attention span is so short, so I really need the show to pique my interest in a matter of 5.2 seconds before I lose my mind. Because if the plot is not plotting in the set amount of time I give it, I have to drop this show or whatever. Like, that's just how I am. If the plot is not gonna pique my interest, I drop it immediately. But people be like, oh, but you have to wait until episode 10. I'm like, episode 10? Why does it take that long for the story to get interesting? You know? Same with like the show I was just telling you guys about that I watched on Netflix. That was a K-drama. I was just like, why is it taking so long for the plot to be plotting? And I'm annoyed now because now I have to sit through this, and it shouldn't be like that, you know? Unless I've heard like good reviews about it, and I'm just like, you gotta wait until episode 3. I still believe it shouldn't take that long just for a story to get good, but sometimes it gets good around episode 3, maybe even around episode 5. That's like the midpoint of like any anime or K-drama, is like episode 5 is when things really start to take off, but it shouldn't have to take that long. Like I said, you really need to spark my interest in the time frame I give you, otherwise I'm not watching it. Because I can recommend other people like animes and K-dramas, but I feel like I really just need to know your taste, because something that may be funny and good to me may not be funny or good to you. So that's why I ask people like, what are you interested in? Like, if you want to get into K-dramas or anime, like if you're a first time anime watcher or a first time K-drama watcher or something like that, I ask like, what kind of you're looking for? Like, are you looking for comedy, romance, horror, thriller, things like that? So that way I know what you're kind of looking for. Like Squid Game is like horror related, but it's also a thriller as well. Like it's more of a thriller than a horror, but some people may consider that a horror, but that's just in my opinion. I'm getting off track, guys. I think that's gonna be it for this little train with me. I just wanted to talk a little bit and kind of just discuss this horse breed and I'm in its entirety and everything like that. But I think that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Bye everyone.